Hey guys, it's Aubri Blaize on the Aubri Blaize team at Keller Williams KC North, and today we're going to be discussing the seller's disclosure. So the seller's disclosure is probably one of the most important documents to fill out. It is also the most annoying because it has a bunch of questions about your home and a bunch of tiny little boxes that you either check yes or no in, and it probably asks you about your house with things that you're like, I have no idea what the heck that is. That's okay, you can call me and I can help offer some clarification, but I also made this video to kind of explain why we need to fill it out, what's important, things like that. And then we'll just do a fast track of that. So a seller's disclosure brings transparency to a real estate transaction for both seller and buyers. So as a seller, it's going to tell everything about what the seller knows about the home to the buyer, so the buyer knows what at least the seller knows about the home. Provides written information about the home and its possible known issues, if there are any damages, drainage or leakages, problems, or anything that the homeowner might already be dealing with or knows about, and things like that. That's very important to have. You never want to get stuck lying on a seller's disclosure, because a buyer can do a clue report and they can find out if a seller has had a known issue and has had contractors that have come out. And if the seller had put no on something that they actually knew was an issue, they could be held liable, and we never want to get into that situation, right? If you put yes for anything in the boxes, make sure you clarify when it was an issue, who did the work, if there's still problems existing, things like that. Without further ado, let's kind of just talk about the seller's disclosure. So the seller's disclosure is going to have the seller's name up at the top and the property address of the current property. And we want to make sure that you're filling this out to the best of your abilities. Obviously, if you don't know something, put no, you don't know it. But if you do know something, mark yes and give some explanation. Third section is going to talk about the age of the property, how long has the seller owned the property, and if they currently still live there or how long they have not lived there. Maybe it's been vacant for many years. And then what type is it? Construction is the home. So is it manufactured, modular, stick built, wood frame, things like that. And the section 5 is literally going to talk about the land, soil, drainage, boundaries, things like that. If it needs expansive soil, if there's settlement, if there's fencing around the property, dead trees, any mineral or water rights tied to the property, things like that. And you fill out yes or no. If you put a yes, there's always a box at the end of the page that answers, hey, if you answered yes, can you provide some explanation what you're saying yes to? And then you'll initial the bottom of the page. The roof is in the next page in section 6, and you're going to give the approximate age of the roof unless you don't know, and the type, is it wood, is it shingle, tile, things like that. And if there's any problems with the roof, flashing, gutters, stuff like that. So it's basically all about the roof and anything that you might know about the roof. And then the next section is any infestation, so like termites, wood destroying insects, mice, anything like that. And if you're treating the property, it is a requirement if even dead termite tubes or active termite tubes are found for VA or FHA, they do require treatment within the last 5 years. So that's something to be aware of. Section 8 is going to talk about structural basement crawl space, fire, and exterior items that you might have been aware of. Is there shifting in the foundation? Is there cracks in the foundation, in the driveway, in the walkway leading up to the house, things like that. Most every house probably has some crack somewhere. So even if you're say, oh, it's just a tiny crack, it's fine. It's a small crack, just say yes. They're normal small cracks you see in walkways or driveways sometimes due to maybe the age of the home or just normal settling. They do want you to still say yes for those. So just make sure you put yes. And then if you have put yes, obviously there's a section below that to kind of explain why. And then on the third page, it talks about if you've added any additions or remodeling. So if you've gotten permits, if you added on, if you've gotten a deck, ripped out a supporting wall and put a header, things like that want to be placed into that section. Then it goes into plumbing. Are you on public? Are you on a well? Are you septic? Things like that. If you have any kind of water purification systems or water softener, if you own it, if you lease it, that's going to be in that section as well. And if there's any leaks with the plumbing or anything that you know what type of material, like PEX, copper, ABS, things like that. And then on the next page, it goes into your HVAC, so do you have air conditioning, heating systems, water heater, the age of those, how old they are, and maybe the last time they were serviced, if they were, and any problems that you might know about them. And then of course then it goes into electrical, and if it's copper, aluminum, or if you're not sure, and how many amps it is, the location of the electrical box, stuff like that. Section 13 talks about any hazardous conditions that you are aware of, like landfill, underground tanks on the property. If you have any kind of environmental issues, those will need to be disclosed there. And then on page 5, it goes into section 14, neighborhood information and homeowners association. So if you have any current or pending bonds, if you're inside or outside of city limits, do you have an HOA? How much is it? Is it yearly, monthly? Are you subject to tax abatement? All of that is going to be in this section. If you've had any previous inspection reports within the last 12 months, there's a section saying yes or no that you have. And if it is yes within the last 12 months, they do want to see a copy of that if you have it. Section 16 talks about other matters that you might be aware of about the property, any materials that are affecting the value or desirability of property, violations of laws, and then also ask if you have subfloor or stained floor or missing keys or garage door openers or any zoning violations, anything like that. Then it asks you about utilities, so the electrical, gas, water, trash, all of that, the numbers, if you have them. If you don't, it's not a big deal, but it is helpful, especially if you're in outside of the city limits or you're on acreage. Different water companies are in different areas, and same with trash. I know that I have a certain trash company on one side, and then my neighbor on the other side uses a whole different trash company. Put that in there as well on who you use. If you have a Ring doorbell or household security system, are those staying with the property? Are you taking them? What is staying? Stuff like that. Other things that stay with a property are anything that's attached to a wall, curtains, curtain rods, beautiful light fixtures. And if you're going to be switching them out, you need to disclose, hey, I'm taking this light fixture with me for whatever reason. TVs and TV mounts, storm windows, plumbing equipment, bathroom vanity mirrors, fencing, all of that is supposed to stay with the property unless on this next page you disclose that you're taking it with you. And in that section, there's spots at the very bottom where you can put OS means operating and staying with the property. EX means it's staying with the property but is excluded from mechanical repairs and cannot be in unacceptable condition. Sometimes people say, hey, I'm gonna leave the fridge, but I'm not gonna repair it or something like that. NA means not applicable or it's just not present. And then NS means it's not staying with the property. And so if you're taking a fridge, make sure you put not staying. If you're taking washer and dryer, you want to put not staying. If there is a beautiful lampshade that's been in your family forever and you're taking it, you want to put lampshade in this room is not staying. But keep in mind that you can't just have a hole with wires hanging out of it unless they've agreed to that. You do want to replace that item with something that also works and looks decently good. And then the last page, you can add any other material or information that you want. You have a couple lines for that, and then you'll sign it. And that is the seller's disclosure. If you don't know the age of your furnace, if you don't know certain answers to certain questions, give me a shout. Give someone on my team a shout. We will answer or try to help you answer those questions to the best of our abilities. I hope this helps. Thanks, guys.